darken minds to seek truth and righteousness, cause we're running out of time. Floods, earthquakes, fires, droughts, and wars, AIDS, Ebola, West Nile, hepatitis, and SARS. Why no man take these things to heart? Cause the kings of the earth are mad and know not peace. Truth falls in the streets because no one seeks beyond the surface. If you dare to be so bold, read about the God of Israel and the people he chose. All that glitters ain't gold. Look deep beneath the surface. Follow the light, it's worth it. It leads to something. Yahweh of hosts is his name. The source of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yah.
Shalom. Welcome to Beyond the Surface. My name is Yosef Ben Israel, and I am the elder priest of the Cultural Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We're located at 3901A Covenant Highway in Decatur, Georgia, 30032. Our phone number is 404-286-5869. Now, our website is www.thencci.org. Again, welcome to the Beyond the Surface program. The topic of our program tonight is Black people are the true Jews. Black people are the true Jews. Now, with a topic like that, you got to get your Bible, right? If you've seen this show anytime, you know you must have your Bible out while you're watching the show. If you don't have a Bible, if you're not interested in what the Bible says, this is not the TV show for you. Go ahead and change the channel now so you won't waste your time. Listen to something that you're not interested in. This is for people who are interested in the truth that is written in this Bible. Again, the topic of our show is Black people are the true Jews. For over 400 years, all that black people knew about the world, it was either black or white. When they brought the slaves to America, they called them Negroes. They did not call them Africans. People should wonder why they didn't call them Africans. After all, did they not buy those slaves from the Africans? Well, don't these slaves sort of look like those Africans? So if they bought them from the Africans, then they should have called them Africans if they sold them to these Christians over in America. But no, they called them Negroes. Negro is just another word for black. And African does not mean black, and black does not mean African. So why would anyone coming from Africa not be called an African? But see, no one has ever asked that question. But you got to understand something. In the Bible, Yahweh does not deal with skin color. He deals with nations. And that's the problem that a lot of black people have in understanding what this book is saying. Everybody that comes to America comes from a land that they come from. Chinese Americans may not speak one word of Chinese and speak fluent American English, but if you look at them, you can tell, hey, he's from China. Same thing with the Mexicans, same thing with those pure Africans. But with black people, where do black people come from, and what were they called before they were called Negroes? Black people never asked those questions. So why would you bring a people over to another land and not tell them who they are? The Africans sold their slaves to these Christians. They did not sell their own people. The people that they sold to America were not Africans. They were Jews. They were the house of Judah. And the reason we know that, because it was written in the Bible, in the prophecies. It was written in the curses of Deuteronomy 28, when it says that we would be brought into Egypt again on slave ships. And there you shall be sold to your enemies as bondmen and bondwomen. Now, we pinpointed that black people are the only people that have been sold anywhere, have been sent anywhere on slave ships. You match that up with Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68, and you see they just like this. Black people are the only one that fits that prophecy when it comes to Deuteronomy 28. They say, I will bring you into Egypt again, which means Egypt means house of bondage. Therefore, we came over here, our fathers came over here on slave ships to a house of bondage. This is Egypt again. So now we kind of narrow down who black people are then, don't we? We narrow down to the point where we're not black, we're Israelites. Right? Because Israelites fit the prophecy. It's not about the skin color. It's about the prophecies. No one else on earth fits these prophecies except black folk in America. But the question then is, where do people come from? I mean, the question is, black people, the true Jews, and you wonder nobody asks where do Negroes come from. Well, the question then should be, where does everybody come from? It's in the Bible. We're going to pick this up in Genesis chapter 9 and verse 1. This is after the great flood that wiped out all civilization. All of mankind was wiped off the face of the earth. Now, only eight people that was left alive that came out of that flood. I'm going to read you something in verse 1 of chapter 9. After the flood was over, after the ark was set down, and Noah and his 3 boys, that's who survived the flood. Noah and his wife, his 3 boys, and their wives. All right? So I'm going to pick this up in Genesis chapter 9. Again, we're in the part of the book that your preacher tells you don't read. Do not tell him you're reading this part of the book. He may kick you out of the church. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, it says, And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth. So all the people of the world came from these Noah's 3 boys, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now I'm going to skip the rest of this. I'm going to start this up in chapter 10, because we're going to break down the sons of Noah's 3 boys. In Genesis chapter 10, we're going to show you where these people come from, and eventually we're going to get to where black people come from. We've already established that they're Israelites because they fit the prophecy about being slaves on a slave ship, and that's not the only part of the prophecy that fit black people, but it identifies the only people on earth that's been done that way, and those were the children of Israel. But listen to where everybody came from. This is in Genesis chapter 10, verse 1. It says, Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer. Gomer is what we call the Celtics today. That's over there in Ireland. They're still here. Magog and Madai are Russians. They're still here. And Javan is Greece. Tubal and Meshach are Russians. And Tyrus are the Italians. These people are still here. They're listed in Genesis, and they are still on the earth. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, that's over in Russia, Riphath and Togarmah. Togarmah is Turkey today. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, that's Greece. Tarshish is Spain. Kittim and Dodanim is Greece also. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. He said these are Gentiles. Black people. Y'all call yourselves Gentiles? You mean you from Russia? You from Ireland? You from Italy? Spain? That's where black folk came from, huh? You call yourself Gentiles. This is the only places where Gentiles come from. Today, the Gentiles will be your Europeans and your Asians. The Indians in America are Gentiles. The Indians in India are Gentiles. The Afghanis are Gentiles. The Syrians are Gentiles. The Iraqis are Arabs. The Egyptians today are Arabs. And the Arabs are not Gentiles. They are Shemitic people. They've come from Shem. So, black people, you are not Gentiles. No matter what that lying preacher tells you, no matter what them lying Christian friends of yours tell you, the book just called them a lie. Unless you're from one of these countries, you ain't no Gentile. Black folks, that's what this show is all about. Where do you come from? You say you're either Jew or Gentile. See, let me read you something else to see if what you believe is true. This is in verse 6. It says, and the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. And when you read all the rest of this and go down to verse 20, it says, these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. So we got the Gentiles coming from Japhet. Now we got the Africans, because you see what Ham's boys, who Ham's boys were. Ham, one of his boys was Cush. I'm not talking about the herb. I'm talking about a people. Cush would be the Ethiopians today. Mizraim, and you know what color the Ethiopians are, right? They're still the same color today. They were dark-skinned, black-skinned people with big heads. And Mizraim, what we call the Egyptians today. Now, not the Egyptians over there now. Those are Arabs. We're talking about the sons of Ham. You look at your hieroglyphics and the paintings on those tombs and in the pyramids, you see pictures of Egyptians, and they're all black. Keep that in mind, because these are the sons of Ham. It says, and Phut and Canaan. Again, all four of them boys we will call Africans today. So now we got the Gentiles, we got the Africans, now we're going to pick up the Shemites. It says, and unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet, the elder, even to him were children born. I'm going to stop down here in verse 31. It says, it lists all the sons and the grandsons of the descendants of Shem. It says in verse 31, these are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. You got 3 seas. Not 2. The way you black folks think. If you're not a Jew, you're a Gentile. You're a Gentile. Where did you get that from? I just read to you who the Gentiles are. Black folks, you are not Gentiles. Those folk over there calling themselves Jews are not Jews. Then what are they? You never even bothered to ask if those were the Jews, because according to Scripture, the Jews did not make any images of themselves. Well, how you know those are Jews then? Anybody can say they're a Jew. The Japanese can say they're Jews, right? The Russian, anybody can say they're Jew, because nobody knows what the Jews look like. But they do have a description of what they looked like. There were no paintings, but they had a description. Let me read to you the beginning of our people. This is in Genesis chapter 12. It says, "Now Yahweh has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curses you, and in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed." Everybody on earth will be blessed through Abraham. The Gentiles, the Hamites, and the Shemites, through Abraham here. Now, he says in verse 2, "And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing." So here's another nation. This is another seed here. Abraham's seed, to add along with Shem, Japheth, and Ham, Noah's boys. Abraham is descended from Shem. That's who we are. We're Shemitic people. We're not Hamitic people, which are the Africans. Again, the Africans sold their slaves. They did not sell their own people. They sold their slaves to these Christians over here in America. I just want you to remember that. We come from Abraham. Abraham said, "In you shall all the nations of the earth shall be blessed." Now, this continued on not only through Abraham, but also through Abraham's boy Isaac, and through Isaac's boy Jacob, and Jacob's sons, the 12 tribes of Israel. So now we see that the children of Israel are the most blessed people on earth. We can understand now why everybody wants to be an Israelite. Black folks, I know you never even heard this before, but there are people in Great Britain, white people, that say that they are Manasseh. And they say that white people over here in America are Ephraim. You don't know what that is, because you don't read your Bible. White folks read the Bible. That's why they claim to be Manasseh and Ephraim, because they read the Bible. Your lying preacher tells you don't read it, and leave you out of the loop of what everybody's doing, and you love it so. Let me find the next nation that Yahweh said he was going to create, and this is in Genesis 19. I'm going to pick this up at verse 36. Now, in Genesis 19, this is a story of Sodom and Gomorrah, when the men of Sodom tried to rape two angels that had come to visit Lot, that were staying with Lot. So Yahweh decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of their wickedness. He destroyed everybody except for Lot and his two daughters. He saved Lot out of that because, you remember, Lot is Abraham's nephew. So Abraham is a Hebrew. That's what the book says. As a matter of fact, in chapter, let me read this to you. In chapter 14, in verse 13, to show you the Bible does say that Abraham is a Hebrew. It says in chapter 14 and verse 13, it says, "And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram." Abram is also Abraham. So it's saying that Abram was a Hebrew. If he was a Hebrew, that means his son Isaac was a Hebrew, and his other son Ishmael was a Hebrew. Isaac's son Jacob and his other son Esau were Hebrews. The 12 tribes, the 12 children that Jacob had were Hebrews. Black folks, You've never even heard of Hebrews, have you? You never even knew that there was a people that were called Hebrews. All you know is the world is divided up in black and white. Folks, if you accept that, that means you're not seeking the truth. There's more to the world than black and white. You take pride in calling yourselves black. White folk take pride in calling themselves white. That's because you call yourself black, so you want to be white, black, and proud like they are white and proud. But white people call themselves white for another reason. They don't call themselves white because the reason you call yourself black, you call yourself black because you were tired of being ashamed of being called black. White people call themselves white because of their bad complexion. Back in the Middle Ages, they used to paint their faces white to smooth out them bumps and bruises all over their face that white people used to have. And if you didn't have over that white makeup, then you were considered inferior. So you know what that makes us, right? We are very, very inferior because we can't put any white makeup on us and make ourselves look white because our hair give us away. So we got the story about Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, but again, we're dealing with nations of people. We've already established Shem, Ham, and Japheth as the three principal nations. Out of Shem, we got Abraham coming along. Yahweh said, I'm going to start a nation with you, Abraham. So now that's four. 4 seeds in the earth. All right? Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Abraham. Abraham is a separate nation out of Shem. He's still Shemitic, but he's still a separate nation. Now let's pick up another nation. This is in Genesis 19. And remember, we talked about Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed. And everybody got destroyed in Sodom and Gomorrah. And so the only people that survived that was Lot and his 2 virgin daughters. So we're going to pick this up. They have left Sodom and Gomorrah. They're staying somewhere else, probably in a cave somewhere, because they think that there's no one else left alive on earth. I mean, we're talking about the daughters. We're not talking about Lot. Let me read you something here. This is, I'm going to pick this up at verse 33. No, I think I started a little earlier. Verse 30. It says, and Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar. He dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. They want to have sex with their daddy so that they can produce more children to replenish the earth, because they think everybody's dead. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. This was a virgin. They made their daddy drunk. That had to be some good wine for him to bust a cherry. He was tore up and didn't even know when she laid down or when she got up. They dare not put that wine on the market today. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, behold, I lay yesterday night with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. Now, again, I don't know what kind of wine this was, but 2 virgins lay with their father, and he didn't even know it. I know some folks should not drink that kind of wine. So what we have here is incest. Incest where the daughters have sex with the father and they get pregnant by him. That's incest. That's against the law. But it wasn't at this time, though. These are the daughters that came out of Sodom and Gomorrah, so you know what kind of values they got. They don't have the kind of values that we have today. It wouldn't have crossed anybody's mind to sleep with their father. Usually it's the father that rapes the daughter. But these two daughters raped their father. And the firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So now we got 5 seeds. Remember what they are. We got Ham, Shem, Japheth, Abraham, and the 12 tribes of Israel. And now we got Moab and Ammon. And the reason that we say there are 5 seeds in the earth is because each one of these people that have been born have their own land to signify that they are a nation. That's what makes a people a nation, is their land. Now, let's pick up the last seed. Let me see here. Let's see. That's in, I think it's in 21. Yeah. I think I go to 25. And 25, in verse 19, it says, and these are the generations of Isaac. This is Abraham boy, Isaac. It says, these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. Didn't mention Ishmael. Ishmael was not considered a son of Abraham in the Abrahamic family. Isaac was who the seed of Abraham will be called through. So you got Isaac, you got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Now, Ishmael, yeah, he's a son of Abraham, but Yahweh didn't give him any land. They were basically a nomadic people. But we got 5 seeds. Let's pick up the 6th one. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh, and Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. We just picked up, let me continue. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Esau was 60 years old when she bare them. Esau is the 6th seed in the earth. Let's go back over the nations. You got Ham, Shem, Japheth, Abraham, that's the 4th seed with Isaac and Jacob and the 12 tribes. Moab and Ammon, that's 5, and Esau, that's 6. 6 nations are in the earth. All people of the earth come from these people. Most of them come from Ham and Japheth, and the rest of them come from Shem. So that if you look around the world, you see that Japheth's seed is the most popular seed on earth. We're talking about the Europeans and Asians. It's more them than anybody on earth. You got a continent of Africans, but they still don't hold a cotton to Japhet's seed. That's why Japhet's seeds are in Africa today, running Africa. Because them Africans don't know how to run Africa. They let white folks come in and run Africa. And y'all call yourselves African Americans. Yeah, well, you name yourself after a white man anyway. So you just well continue. Now, how do we know what color the Israelites were? Remember what we said about the Egyptians? They were a black-skinned people. Don't believe me. Do your own research. Find out for yourself about what these Egyptians looked like. And it's in every encyclopedia. You can find it on the internet. You can find it in a library, what the Egyptians actually looked like. We'll pick this up in Genesis chapter 50, because you listen to white Christians, they'll say the Egyptians were all white. I don't think so. This is Genesis chapter 50, and it says, I'm going to pick this up at verse 7. That father Jacob, remember Esau and Jacob, right? Jacob had them 12 boys, so Jacob's done got old, and now he's dead. And then 12 boys, all their families are in Egypt at this time. Okay? I'm just setting this up so you see where I'm going with this particular chapter. This is Genesis chapter 50. And verse 7, it says, And Joseph went up to bury his father, Jacob, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. Listen what it says. I'm going to read that again. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. And all the house of Joseph, and all his brethren, and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. Now, the children of Israel were walking with the Egyptians, but the Canaanites said these were all Egyptians. They mistakenly looked at the house of Israel as Egyptians. In other words, they were the same color as the Egyptians. They were black, not white. They were dark-skinned black people. Now, before I go any further to show that the chosen people were colored people or black people, let me invite you out to the cultural center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. We're located at 3901A Covenant Highway in Decatur, Georgia, 30032. Our website is www.thencci.org, and our phone number is 404-286-5869. We have a Sabbath day service every Saturday at 1 o'clock p.m. because it is the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the seventh day of the week, not the first day. I tell you this every show. You are not worshiping on the right day. You are being disobedient. What do you think God's going to do with a disobedient people? You actually think you're going to heaven being disobedient. We have a prophecy class every Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. where we talk about the prophecies in the Bible and as how they pertain not only to us, but to the rest of the world. We also have a history class every Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. where we talk about the history that's written in the Bible, because the Bible is a history book. Again, that's something that your lying preacher ain't going to tell you. We have a sisters-only class every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. where only the sisters come in to listen to a very well-versed and very skilled teacher in this word, so they can learn from a female point of view. So by all means, try to come out and visit us. Don't come expecting to see a show, right? You've been raised up to be entertained when you go to church on Sunday. You go there to listen to the choir sing. You go there to listen to the preacher hoop and holler and bust out in a cold sweat and eyes bug out, having epileptic fits and singing his butt off. You are being entertained, and when you pay your tithes, you paying for being entertained. If that's what you like, go and do that. But if you want to know what's written in the Bible, come on out and visit us, and we will show you some things that you're never going to learn on Sunday morning. Let me continue here. Now, we just established that the children of Israel were a dark-skinned people because we just read it. They looked like the Egyptians. Let's go another place here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 1. It says, "And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi." Now, what I'm reading here is happening in Egypt. All right? We just read where the children of Israel, all 12 boys, are in Egypt at this time. And so many, many years has passed by. It says, "And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's bank. And his sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept, and she had compassion on him, and said, 'This is one of the Hebrews' children.'" Now, this little boy does not have a name yet. Let's see how he gets his name. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" Apparently, the daughter of Pharaoh couldn't have any children. That's a little side story. I'm going to drop down to verse 10. "And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called his name Moshe. And she said, because I drew him out of the water." So Moses, or Moshe, is not a Hebrew name. It is an Egyptian name. So we've established Moshe. Let's go a little bit further here. I'm going to pick this up in verse 11. "And it came to pass in those days, when Moshe was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren." You see, he saw an Egyptian. Just like today you see a white man beating down a black man. Yeah, same thing. An Egyptian was beating down a Hebrew. The Egyptians were the master people, and the Hebrews were the slaves. "And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand." That's murder. This is Moses. He just killed an Egyptian. Right? So when a black man kills a white man, you know he's in trouble now. Moshe just killed an Egyptian. Let's see how he reacts to it. Well, it's a little bit more to it. He said, "And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made you a prince and a judge over us? intendest thou to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? And Moshe feared and said, surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moshe, but Moshe fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moshe stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that you are come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. They called Moses. Moses was a Levite. He came out of the seed of Levi. He was a Levite, but they called him an Egyptian. Why? Because he looked like an Egyptian. He wasn't a white man in an Egyptian outfit, and all the Egyptians were black. They would have said a Gentile helped them. Remember how the land was divided, the earth was divided into Gentiles and Ham and Shem, right? Well, Moses is a Shemite, but he looks like an Egyptian, which means the Shemites in the beginning were a dark-skinned people. I'm going to show you something else of another Hebrew that looked like an Egyptian. That's in the book of Acts, chapter 21. And I'll show you what it says here. I'm going to pick this up at verse 37. It says, now Paul is about to get his butt whooped. He's in trouble. All the Jews want to kill him. Right? Now, Paul has been recently converted to a new way of life to believe in the Messiah. And the rest of the Jews don't like it, because now he's going to the Gentiles with this word of the Most High. And the Jews did not like the Gentiles whatsoever. So when they heard about Paul was in town, they spread the news that Paul brought a Gentile into the temple, which was wrong. So the Jews wanted to kill him. So they had to call a SWAT team out, which is the Italian centurions, and they had to grab Paul and save him from being killed by his own fellow countrymen. Listen to what it says. And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, can thou speak Greek? Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made an uproar and led out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? He called him an Egyptian because of his skin color. Paul was called an Egyptian. Paul is the one y'all said brought Christianity to the Gentiles. Really? Well, Paul, if he brought Christianity to the Gentiles, he should have called himself a Christian. Let's see if he did. Let me continue this. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. Paul said he was a Jew, but he looked like an Egyptian. Moshe looked like an Egyptian. The 12 tribes of Israel looked like Egyptians, and all of them were black. Call your preacher up. Tell him that man with that white beard is on TV talking smack. Let me show you something else here. This is in Revelation, chapter 1. I'm going to show you something else see, your preacher dare not go to Revelation because it scares him to death. It's got dragons and locusts and all kinds of devils and stuff, right? I'm going to read you something here in Revelation, chapter 1. I'm going to pick this up at verse 10. It says, and this is John the Revelator talking. It says, I was in the Spirit, it says here, on the Lord's day, right? Well, white Christians think that that's Sunday. No, 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 no. It's the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. There's nothing in here say that that was Sunday. You just make it up and tell black people that that's Sunday, and they believe it. You tell white folks You can tell black folk anything, they'll believe it. They got their heads so stuck up in your ass, they can't even see straight. I was in the spirit on Yahweh's day and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest, write in the book and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as the flame of fire, white as wool. Have you ever seen wool on a sheep? Wool looks like on a sheep an afro on a black man's head. Our hair looks like wool. White people's hair does not look like wool. I'm sorry, as much as you try to frizz that mess up, you still have straight hair, white folks. We got hair like wool, and this is what John the Revelator is seeing. He says he had hair like wool, and his eyes as white as, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. You ever burn brass in a furnace? First of all, let's understand this word brass. They did not use brass that much in those days. Brass is an alloy. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. Bronze is also an alloy. It is an alloy of copper and tin. There are 2 different alloys. When you see brass in the Bible, it's really talking about bronze. All right? Because they're both alloys, but bronze was a better description of the Hebrew word for brass. Now, when you burn brass or you burn bronze, it leaves a black sooty residue on that metal, doesn't it? Well, that don't sound like a white man to me. That don't sound like Jesus. Jesus ain't got no wool hair. He's got straight hair, like some of them black women walking around with straight hair trying to look like Beyonce. That's the kind of that's the kind of hair that Jesus got. He got Beyonce's hair. So, let me read you something else to show you that these are black folk in this book. This is in the Song of Shlomo, the Song of Solomon. Let me read you something here. In verse, chapter 1 of the Songs of Solomon, I'm going to pick this up at verse 1. It says, the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's, or Shlomo's, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. It says the Songs of Songs, which is Solomon's. Okay? Solomon is the king of Israel. Keep that in mind, because this is a woman talking here. It says, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine. Because of the savor of thy good ointments, thy name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than wine, the upright love thee. I am black, but comely, O you daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Shlomo. If you ever seen the tents of Kedar, those are super black. Look not upon me, because I am black, because the sun hath looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. But mine own vineyard have I not kept. Now, When white people stay in the sun too long, they don't turn black. When Japanese or anybody of Yaphet seed stay in the sun too long, they don't turn black. Black people turn black. Now, all black people, again, are not Shemitic. You got some black Hamites. You got some black Gentiles. Over there in India, those they call them the untouchables. Very, very dark-skinned people. Even got a professional golfer that's an Indian. He's darker than me. But they're Gentiles. So this woman here is in love with King Solomon, and she's black. You see, don't look upon me because I'm black, because I've been working in the sun all day long. So black people don't want to get darker when they're in the sun all day long. Right? I mean, I just want to get you in the mindset that the people in the Bible are not white. None of them. What we just read, we didn't read anything about white people here. We read about the different Gentiles being spread in their lands, but the main story is about the children of Israel, and now we have given you a physical description of them, that they are a black-skinned people. Now, how do we know that we are the Jews? Because we fit the prophecy. Remember we said that in Deuteronomy 28 verse 68 that we come over here in slave ships? Yahweh was continuously angry with his people. So he said, I'm going to scatter you to the four corners of the earth. I'm going to put you in a land that are the people that you don't know, and put you in your enemies' lands, and you're going to worship gods of wood and stone. Black folks, that's you. You are the chosen people. You are the true Jews. Well, who are those people that call themselves Jews then? Let's read it and see. And Revelation chapter 2, verse 8 and 9, it says, and this is, he's telling John the Revelator to write these letters. He says, unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty. But you are rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. That's those people calling themselves Jews that look like white people. Those are not Jews. Those are white people calling themselves Jews. Come out of Russia, come out of Germany. All of those are Gentiles that have been religious converts to Judaism. And in chapter 3, it says, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, Revelation chapter 3, verse 7, and to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. So those people that are calling themselves Jews over there in the land of Israel, and over here in America, they are of the synagogue of Satan. I'm not saying this is written in the Bible. The whole world, well, I'm not going to say the whole world. All the Gentiles all over the world think that the Jews were white. But the people in the Middle East and the people in Africa know that the Jews were never white. Why do you think the so-called Jews are having so much trouble in the land today? Because they know those are not Jews. There were people brought over from Europe and put in the Middle East and called themselves Jews. Call over there now and ask anybody in the Middle East or in Africa, those people that call themselves Jews, are they really Jews? They're going to tell you no. Call over there to Africa and ask them, are we African Americans? They're going to tell you no. You are Hebrews, you dummies. Stop calling yourself by who you are not. We don't even call ourselves Africans. If Africans don't say, we don't call ourselves Africans, and you dummies call yourselves Africans? When will you learn, black folks? Listen, the true Jews, black people are the true Jews because we are the only people on earth that fit the prophecies. The people over there in the land of Israel do not fit any of these prophecies except the prophecy concerning Esau, because Esau wants his birthright back, he wants his blessing back, and the birthright and the blessing went to Jacob, and Jacob is in the land was given to him by Yahweh himself. He didn't give it to Esau. So Esau is mad, so he wants the land back, so now he's in the land calling himself the Jews. But brothers and sisters, black folks, we are the Jews. Appreciate you listening, and I hope you join us next week for another heaping, hopping heaven of Beyond the Surface. Shalom.